Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared, and this is a very, very impressive knife that I'm very happy to check out. Now, this is the prototype. We're going to go over all the details of what's going to be possibly changed in this and that towards the end. But first, let's just get right into it. We have an S90V blade, and the name of this knife is the CAELUM. The CAELUM Ari. Now, CAELUM means sky in Latin. I did have to look up exactly how to pronounce that. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing it right. And then Ari is the maker's or the designer's son's nickname, which means eagle. So we have, it kind of makes sense, eagle in the sky, I guess, so to speak. Now, we'll get a little bit more into that here in just a minute, but S90V blade, this is OEM'd by QSP, and I'm not sure how they're doing their S90V. He did say I could test it, but I'm not sure I am even able to have this long enough to test their S90V. I would like to, but that would take a little bit of time and everything. But if I have enough time with it, I will try to maybe get a full review out, with better details on what I think about it at the very least. Now, we have a drop point blade, titanium frame lock. Now, it comes in multiple different versions. You have two different versions of micarta, and then the aluminum carbon fiber, and then this copper carbon fiber, which I really like the look of this copper. Even the micarta looks really good as well. We have a titanium milled pocket clip, big hardware all the way around. I love how the cutout to the lock bars on the inside, and then look at this pivot. Really cool looking pivot, and then he has his logo on this side of the pivot. Great looking pivot. Lots of great details on this one. Now, it really shines in its action. The whole deployment lands exactly where you want it to, and you got plenty of access to it, so it flies. Detent, perfect detent for the reverse flick, and you can go up top, you can get it with your nail, you can get it with just your skin of your finger. Lefties, even if I cover the lock bar, because it's the lower part, it works great. Now, naturally, my finger wants to land right there, which, again, so this is going to be a great knife for lefties and righties, and you have the cutout for, to reverse the clip. Then we have the jimping on the front flipper. Perfectly well done all the way around, exactly how a front flipper should be. Super easy to use. Detent is perfectly well tuned for the front flip. Now, the one little thing is that, it's a little thick for a front flipper. Now, it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's very easy to do. Oop, that was my fault. It's very easy to flick, so I don't think most people have issues with it. It's just, it's a little thick, so when you bring your finger around this direction, the width and the thickness, it's just a little bit thick. But this is a big knife. This thing's almost 9 inches overall. We have a 3.6-inch blade, and I think it's 8 3/4 overall, so it's a good sized knife. Now, access to the lock bar, really, really good. Nice and softened. Feels really good to disengage, and it is stupid smooth. Detent, when you disengage it, nice and early. And it just drops, super, super smooth. Now, this is basically just flat screws. We do have a nice chamfer around the edge. Full-size knife, so one thing I do notice, but I think it's actually a good thing in this sense, the blade-to-handle ratio. The blade is a little bit smaller than the handle. However, when I have it in my hand, you see how when I'm choked back in a regular grip position, this part right here comfortably kind of wraps around my palm right there, which makes this extremely, extremely comfortable like this. And I even lock in right to the jimping where it's located. So if this was shorter, it would be kind of poking me in the hand. So I kind of like that. Now, if I choke up, which I can because there's no flipper tab, this is also very, very comfortable. Now, I am going to go over some things that I do, or I personally would like to change, and also what they are already planning on changing. And we'll go over all that in 1 second. Beautiful swedge on the top. We have a dual set and finish that just looks gorgeous. The cutout has like a little poke right there. Looks really good, almost like a I don't know, like an eye shape almost. I don't know. It's nice and robust, yet still reasonably thin behind the edge. Now, I do not know the angle they sharpened it at, but it's 18 thousandths behind the edge. I personally would lower back the angle a bit, but the swedge is really nice, reinforces the tip a bit, so it's not a tip that's going to be dainty. It's not going to be too hard to get to. I personally like a little bit lower of a tip, but you can get by with this just fine. Lots of heavy milling on the inside, so this thing is super lightweight for its size. I mean, you don't expect it to be as light as it is when you get it in hand. Now, a couple little things before we get in, or let's talk about what they're going to change, and then we'll talk about the things that I think. So, really quick, you can see right here how he explains the name and his son's name and the name of the knife. Now, a couple things that are going to be changed is, one, they're going to add another screw because this thing does wiggle a little bit. Now, personally, I would say just add a 2-step insert. So if you look right here, you can see how it's countersunk. But what they could do is add another step. So you see how there's one step here where it just inserts in. Add another insert inside that where it's a double inset. Then you can stick with just one screw. That's what Tucson does, and it works great. So that's just my opinion. Doesn't matter if they add another screw, not a big deal, but then they could keep it nice and deep because this clip works great. I mean, this clip is super smooth and not a pocket. It works great in hand, and I honestly would hate to see it changed, but maybe it'll change for the good. I don't know. Next thing, they plan on blacking out this screw because you can kind of see it, with the carbon fiber. And the next thing they were going to do is, add a filler tab for this side. Now, let me give my opinion of little things that I would do. So one, the thumb flick on this, yes, you can do it. You can absolutely do it. Not on this side, though, very well. I mean, I can do it, obviously. I'm doing it right now. But the slabs are thick, right? So if they just added a little tiny chamfer to the side so you can get down to it a little bit more appropriately, that could help. Now, is that big of a deal? No, because I can obviously still do it, and the reverse flick is so great. So it's not that big of a deal, but it's just a thought. Kind of like this, actually. Kind of like this, where they do a little chamfer right there. It makes it to where your finger can kind of glide down to the thumb stud or to the thumb deployment. Just like that. Anyways, next thing. This sharpening trail is horrendous. This has got to get fixed. And the reason why I'm saying that is because this has internal stop pins. Exactly what we want to see in a knife. Nice solid lockup, very robust. I mean, no movement, any direction. Very, very, very solid. And since it has internal stop pins, there's no stop pin back here, stopping you from making good choil. So there's no excuse to have this choil. Look at this. The plunge grind hits the edge. You can see it already being wonky right here. It's already got an issue. So when I go to sharpen this, no matter what, I cannot help it, I will make a smile on this for a fact. It will make a smile, and it'll just be sharpened all up through here, even though my edge bevel isn't that big, because it's thicker right here. So all they have to do is either just from right here, just cut it out a little bit bigger to where the plunge grind ends, is farther away from the edge. Or two, do the same thing, but just end the plunge grind back here, so it doesn't end right where the edge is. But I think that's an easy fix. I could personally even do it at home with a Dremel. But anyways, next thing, actually, you know what? That's really it. The scales do feel a little thick compared to the blade, but I'm not really that mad at it. The handle, even though it does taper down thinner, which I normally am not a huge fan of, where it goes thicker here and then skinnier here. But in this case, the thickness, depth, width, all that good stuff where my pinky lands is still solid. So I have no problem getting a lot of squeeze just with these two fingers. It only poses an issue when you can squeeze up here, but then down here it's so small you can't get leverage. But in this case, you can. So even in like a reverse grip, like if I'm gonna cut a rope or a strap, it's super comfortable. So the whole thing, the action, the looks, the ergos, just everything about this, the clip, the way it feels in the hand, I like this thing a lot, and I love that they went with S90V. Seeing that. And maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think this might be the first time QSP is using S90V. Maybe I'm wrong, but I hope they do it well because, S90V is an amazing steel. It takes a ridiculous sharp edge and it holds it just forever. Like there's no stopping it. Like it's just a steel that just keeps on cutting and cutting. And if it's done well and done, right, man, wow, I'm impressed that they're using S90V. It's actually, S90V is a steel that's on most people's top 5, favorite steels. It's just, it's a steel that, when done well, it's an incredible steel. But this is a knife I can just grab and flick so easily, so fast, and I mean like just rapidly because of the whole deployment, how it's set up, and the location of it, / detent / everything. It's just something that can be rapidly deployed because of the ease of opening. Now, aside from that, all the other little details are cool there. Like I said, how good the clip works, the cutouts on the inside, it's somewhat of a reverse bolster lock. So lefties also get the benefits of what I was talking about, the access to the lock bar, the blade shape, grind. Now, it is a little bit more of a robust grind, yet, like I said, it does get down relatively thin behind the edge. The ergos you have, it's going to be a great blade shape. Like I said, the utility cuts aren't going to be the best, but you'll be able to work with it just fine. And, being able to get up nice and tight to that edge, you can get heavy duty push cuts, reverse cuts, yeah. It's really, really good. It does feel a little bit squared off and boxy, because it is flat slabs with a chamfered edge, but, that's just the design. But yeah, this is an awesome knife. Now, I don't have all the details right now of when the pre-order is going to open up or anything like that. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be able to hold on to this for. I did want to get it to your guys' attention and show you guys because I think it's such an awesome knife that it deserves it. But stay tuned. I mean, we still have a little while till, it's out and everything. I will link his website down in the description so you can kind of keep up with it and see what's going on with it. But yeah, this is something that will be coming soon, and it's one I definitely like a lot. It checks all those little boxes, being super fidgety and such a comfortable reverse flick. Like there's some knives that, yes, they reverse flick, but this is one that just feels like it was made to do it. But I mean, it feels like it was well thought out, designed, tuned for this type of action. Like just exactly where my finger lands, how I can use any part of my finger, the type of leverage it gives me, when it's closed, the detent strength, just everything about it just works so good. And like I said, the front flipper works great as well. A little bit thick on the edges, to get to it, but it still works great, especially because they did the jimping the right way. So very, very awesome. But there you guys go. First look at it. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'll link everything down in the description so you can follow him on Instagram and follow his website. I love you guys. Peace.